So the Series 2 meta has gotten pretty crazy in the last few weeks. There's been a lot of meta shifts going around, and I'm gonna talk about some of that today. And something I first want to show you was a screenshot from Pokemon Home that I took at the beginning of the month. This was the usage stats at the beginning, showing the top 10 Pokemon, and this is what it looked like. So Dragonite was the most used, Iron Bundle, Roaring Moon, Goldango, Fluttermane, King Gambit, Iron Moth, Iron Valiant, Dragapult, and Garchomp. So Dragonite was the most used because of its mainly like just the amount of sets it can use and like be successful with, like Dragon Dance, Choice Band, and like Lumberry, stuff like that. Iron Bundle was a little bit of a kind of new toy. It wasn't really like, 'cause you'll see that it drops because it's like good, but you can Terra like destroys Iron Bundle, or like if you're prepared for a bundle, which you probably are if you're trying to play Master Ball and stuff. It's easy to play around. And then Roy Moon kind of dropped as well because it didn't have enough power to break through like the really bulky stuff that Gen 9 introduced. And then Goldango still pretty high, like it's always been throughout the course of the game so far. Fluttermane is actually been insane recently. So I'll show you the current usage stats as of February 26th. And I actually got this from a website called PokeDB, which is a Japanese website. I'll put it in the description down below. It shows the usage stats and it updates those stats every single day, I believe. So that's cool. So I will show you that right now. So let me put this here. So this is insane. The Fluttermane is now number 1. So Dragonite has dropped from the throne. It has been number 1 for the past 2 months now. Almost 3 months at this point. So yeah, I mean, Fluttermane is just broken. Like, it can do so. It has so many sets. It can run Thunderwave. I've seen like Thunderwave sets. I've seen Substitute. I've seen just specs all out. Booster energy. Like, it's really fast and really strong. It does have bad physical defense and physical durability, but that doesn't really matter because it'll just outspeed and then kill you before you can even hit it. And then also Goldango, still number 3. Like, Goldango has been top 3 for like majority of the duration of the game so far because of its ability and just like the typing. And the only thing about Goldango is that it gets Trick as well. So like you get a lead against Goldango, it's gonna be like a 40% chance you get Tricked with Choice Scarf. Well, what do? You switch in and then you get blown up by a Mega Rain because you didn't predict right, or you just have to accept the Choice Scarf. Just rough. Excalibur's also climbed a bit. So if you look at the Pokemon home stats here, you'll see that Excalibur wasn't even in the top 10 at the beginning of the season. And that's mainly because of the Assault Vest Excaliburs that people have been running recently. That it's because of the Fluttermanes, like people were using Terra Excalibur with Assault Vest against Fluttermane, like mainly Terra Ground and Electric, and also against Iron Bundle. But Iron Bundle dropped from 2nd to 7th, as you can see. And yeah, these are like Japanese names, so it's kind of weird, like by looking at these, but I use it. It's like the default Google Translate, and it kind of just like this is what it does. So it's not like perfect, but yeah, especially since they're like made up names, they're not like real translations, so it's not going to be perfect. But anyway, yeah, Iron Bundle dropped a lot. King Gambit is still number 6, but Iron Moth actually did go up. Let's go to Pokemon Home, take a look. So it used to be number 7, and yeah, I think the reasoning behind that is just because of the coverage that it gets. Like it's very strong. At 140 special attack is, I mean, pretty high compared to a lot of other Pokemon, like even higher than Fluttermane, so harder to switch into. And then it just gets like so much coverage options. So I mean, it's a good cleanup Pokemon. I wouldn't say it's like a good sweeper because it doesn't get Quiver Dance like Volcarona does, but it can be very destructive without, like, it doesn't even need setup to get things going, so that's also a good thing about it. So yeah. Now, one thing I really wanted to talk about was Dondozo, because Dondozo at the beginning of the season was rank 17, and now it's rank 9. So yeah, Dondozo has risen quite a bit, and it's funny because in the beginning of the game, like during seasons 1 and 2, it was top 20 at the best, at the highest, but now it's just like gotten crazy. And the reasoning behind that is because I've seen like all the Japanese YouTube, or like a lot of the videos that they're uploading, and it's basically Flutter main, Dondozo, Baxcalibur cores, like trios. So that's like the sole. I'm pretty sure that's like the sole reason why Dondozo has like risen, because every time I see a Dondozo, it's like with those two Pokemon, and then also, so yeah, the Japanese, when a Japanese YouTuber uploads a video, it's gonna shape the meta in like a big way because they have like some huge followings. Like there's some with 1 million subscribers, there's some with hundreds of thousands of subs. Like you have to be prepared for what they're gonna bring to the table because it's gonna have the biggest impact on the meta because there's 99% of players in Battle Stadium singles are Japanese, so that's just how it is. But yeah, Dondozo is really strong because of the yawn and wave crash being annoying, and also gets fissure, so it can basically just one shot anything at once. Like it kind of just makes it so that the opponent can't play the game at all, because fissure being a thing is so scary because a lot of the Pokemon, not Pokemon, or like a lot of the Pokemon in general aren't immune to fissure because they're not flying. So you either have to Terra flying, or you just have to hope that fissure doesn't land, because Dondozo being a very bulky Pokemon means it can survive multiple hits, and that means it can throw out multiple fissures and hope that one hits, and that's how it goes. And there's a lot of times where Dondozo can just straight up use all 8 of its fissures and be fine because it's too bulky, and then it can rest Chesto or Sleep Talk and stuff like that. It's just really crazy. And I'm not even ready for Ting Lu when that becomes introduced, because that thing's also got to spam fissures while it takes hits, and it's going to be scary. Dondozo can also just spam yawn, so there's multiple like annoying things about it that really make it broken, and then it gets unaware as well, so you can't set up on it. It gets a free swap, and then it gets to fish for fissures basically. Like for me, I don't have really much counterplay to Dondozo other than like my fissure immunity with Kilowattrel, and then I can maybe predict a fissure, switch it in, and then blow it up. And then, but other than that, I have no other fissure immunity. I did change my Ceruledge to Terra Grass. Oh yeah, shoutouts to Blaze for breeding that for me. That was like when the game came out, but anyway. Yeah, I'm running Terra Blast on it with Grass because to destroy the Dondozo cores, like Dondozo plus Iron Moth or Rotom Wash plus Iron Moth. I've run into that quite a bit, and this can actually beat those out. So yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Yeah, Dondozo has been really big factor on the meta. Like it's gonna change the meta so much, because yesterday I believe it was rank 11, so it jumped 2 spots in one day. So those Japanese YouTube videos are really making a huge impact on the meta. So yeah, and then we also have things like Dragapult, like there's a couple Pokemon that kind of just fell off, like Rory Moon, still very common, like it's still number 9, or wait, number 11 now. Okay, so it did kind of fall off even more then. It was number 9 yesterday, but Dondozo kind of just took its spot. They switched spots, it's funny. But yeah, and also Dragapult, like I said, fell off. It's number 17 now compared to what it was. And yeah, Dragapult was number 2 in the first season. Like that's crazy, because it got power crept and speed crept as well, because boost energy, Flutter main boost energy thing, like boost energy speed stuff kind of outspeeds Dragapult and one shots it. So yeah, Dragapult kind of just lost like its biggest strength in the metagame, which kind of sucks, which is why it sees way lower usage. Also dropped for similar reasons, because the top Pokemon are better dragons and ice types that kind of just invalidated it, especially since they like terrestrialization. When these top Pokemon use terrestrialization, it just removes like a lot of the counterplay from the game that you have against it. So that's also why these Pokemon are up here. It's because they can Terra, except for Iron Bundle. That's just like, it's just sheer power. Without, when this thing Terras, it usually Terras into a water or ice type just to give it more power. And then also you have things like Iron Valiant. It didn't drop too much, but Iron Valiant's still pretty strong, pretty fast too. King Gambit's in the same spot because it's just really good. Assault Vest is really good on King Gambit because it can deal with Fluttermane, Goldango, Iron Bundle. And then it has Guillotine too, because you just one shot any tank in the game, because can't really, the only thing that's immune to Guillotine is the Ghost type, but then King Gambit just has Kato Cleave, so like it's either gonna Kato cleave you or it's gonna one-shot you with guillotine. So like that thing is kind of scary to deal with. Like in a few matches I've gotten destroyed by like I would switch in Serena usually. So we go to Serena here. This is my defensive like wall in this on my team. Like it's a tank with Rocky Helmet. So it's designed to punish physical attackers with Rocky Helmet as well. And I have low kick on it for King Gambit, but that doesn't even matter if King Gambit hits a guillotine. So and then King Gambit can also Terra, live multiple hits and fish from multiple guillotines, which makes it really hard for the opponent to just play the game because they're literally forced to hope and pray, and then also get Sucker Punch too. So the one thing that the King Gambit struggles with is low speed, but it doesn't even matter because it has the strongest Sucker Punch in the game. So King Gambit is very, very scary. But yeah, that thing's up here for a reason. Mimikyu, I'm not sure why it's up here. I mean, this guy's is always really good. I think it's because of to deal with just other offensive Pokemon. Because with this guy's, you can like Swords Dance and then Shadow Sneak this. You can just take a hit for free and kind of just do whatever. I've seen a lot of Thunder Wave Mimikyus recently, and that's been a little annoying. But yeah, I think Mimikyu's also kind of overused in Japan, and that's where basically what the singles meta is. It's a bunch of Japanese players. So, like what we saw with Generation 8 was that Mimikyu was like top 2 every time, or like top 5 at least for the entire generation. So, and it wasn't even like that strong. It needed to get a Swords Dance off to really sweep. And when you get a Swords, like it's not even like, especially compared to like all these Pokemon, its speed isn't good anymore because there's just faster stuff that's stronger that doesn't need any setup to get going. So Mimikyu is probably going to drop like over the course of the meta, and also when other stuff gets introduced, it's going to drop even lower because it just doesn't have enough power. It needs to run Life Orb, so it has to chip itself to actually do good. So yeah, I just don't believe in Mimikyu anymore. I never really believed it in the first place. In Gen 8 it was kind of annoying, but it can be played around. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the meta shifts. There's also a bunch of Gargasalts rising. So Gargasalt was like it's still been around the top 20, top 15 range for the majority of the game. But at the beginning of Season 3, it was like top 25. It wasn't really used that much because people were also just kind of experimenting with the Paradox. And now it's risen to 15 because people just kind of discovered that it's still a broken Pokemon. It can just Stalk Cure everything. And that's why almost every team now runs a Cobra Cloak. So as you can see, I'm running Pikaton. Now, pretty much since the beginning of the game, I've been running Cobra Cloak Tinkaton because of Gargasalt anyway. But now it's just pretty much, like, you pretty much kind of have to, or else Stalk is going to be too free. Especially since Tinkaton is a Steel type, so being a Steel type against Stalk is terrible because you're losing 25% of your health every turn. So removing that with Cloak and also some other interactions like Limited Crash, Chilling Water not working, not getting the drops, and also Fling Light Ball doesn't paralyze, like, which I've been seeing a lot of recently for some reason. I'm guessing that's another Japanese meta shift that's been floating around. Not really sure what's really going on over there, like, but yeah, it's been pretty crazy. But Cobra Cloak kind of invalidates a lot of lead stuff and Stalk as well. That's cool. Yeah, so a lot of teams are running like Cobra Cloak Goldango or Cobra Cloak, like a lot of just like Pokemon you won't even expect to have Cloak will have Cloak because there's just so much like Soul Cure and Lumina Crash being like, you don't want those to be free because the Spathra spamming Lumina Crash is like very free, so you kind of don't want that to happen. So you gotta have a Cobra Cloak somewhere, I feel like. Yeah, there's been a lot of increase in Breloom usage as well because Breloom hasn't really been a thing ever really in this. At the very beginning of the generation, it was like pretty common. But ever since like Season 2 and 3 kind of came around, it kind of fell off. Like it was like top 40 or 50. And then it kind of just came out of nowhere. It's like top 25 now, number 24. I don't know why. It's still Breloom. It does the same thing. It still fulfills the same role. And also Hydreigon's been rising as well because of another Japanese YouTube shift as well. Been seeing a lot of upload videos about the Hydreigon as well. So I think this data right here is pretty indicative of how the series 4 meta is going to go, or the season 4 meta is going to go. I'm not really too sure. I think there's still going to be some shifts, and I'll talk about it in future videos. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for that. So hope you all enjoyed that, and I'll see you all next time. Oh yeah, also check out my live streams as well. I do like to stream pretty frequently, so stick around if you want to see that. So yeah, turn on notifications and all that, and I will see you all next time.